So to build our knowledge of the integumentary system, we understand that the integument is made of layers of the skin, as well things that are called as your appendages. Appendages. So appendages is a kind of a loaded term. There are a lot of things that fall under this classification. So one of these are your nails, for instance. That is an example of your appendages. So your nail even grow. Well, why don't we just blow up this interface right there to get a better sense of how our nail is structured, how they grow. So let me just draw your finger right here, and it's going along this way. Let's draw the nail for right now so you can sort of see how it grows. And this is where your finger is. Coming off, the first thing to realize that this part right here, which is called as your first layer again, is your epidermis. And we have here this part here, which is called as your nail root, which is attached to your epidermis. So this is your epidermis, that your topmost layer of your skin that we've talked about in previous video, and this is attached right to your nail root right there. So that's your nail root. What's important about this interaction point right here is that when you have cells grow in your epidermis, remember that you have cells ascend from your deeper layers up to the epidermis. But here we have your nail root is also have cells that grow out that way. So you're going to have cells that come from the stratum basale and some keratinocytes. Keratinocytes. They grow, they die, and eventually extend to the nails, which means that your nails is essentially part of the epidermis. So nail made of keratin from your keratinocytes, the cells that are made up your epidermis, and it's pack of dead cells that sits at the top of the epidermis. It's keratin actually that makes your nails stiff. It's true for your fingernails and toenails. The difference is your fingernails grow faster 4 times than your toenails. So below here is your below the epidermis is your dermis. Below your dermis is your hypodermis or your subcutaneous fats. Great, so that's how our nails structured and grow. So let's talk another appendages, which is a great discussion of your hair. So let's do some trick and blow up this up. Where hair grows, the difference between nails and hair is that our hair grows from the dermis. It's actually grows from the dermis. So our skin right here, so it's the same orientation. Recall that epidermis is the top layer. Below here is the dermis, and below is your hypodermis. As you can see in the illustration, the blue color is your epidermis, and then down to your layer is your dermis, and then your hypodermis. So in the dermis, there are 2 parts, your papillary and your reticular layer. So you have to recall that, class. The papillary, its characteristic, it's thin, loose layer. Reticular is thicker and denser. So those are the parts of your dermis, your papillary and your reticular. So the way our hair is set up, there is actually a follicle that originates here. As I discussed in the previous videos, there's actually a follicle that originates here, as you can see in the illustration, that sits in your reticular dermis. That's actually your hair follicle. It sits in your reticular dermis. This is your hair follicle that sits in your reticular dermis, and from this follicle you've got this thin structure called as your shaft. The shaft of your hair, it extends upward and realize that and notice that it has its own stratified or squamous epithelial cells that are of course filled with keratin that are stuck up inside the hair that I'm coloring right now, and also the surrounding, which actually grows about 0.5 to 1.25 centimeter per month. Yes, that's how your hair grow, 0.5 to 1.25 centimeter per month. So let me label it. This is your hair shaft that's actually protrudes, okay, or extends upward. And then we have here that is anchored on the hair follicle, that is attached to your hair follicle. We have a band of muscle that sit on the papillary dermis that is actually called as your erector pili muscle. That we discussed already from the previous video. So erector pili muscle is somehow a smooth muscle that happens actually involuntarily. So when this muscle contracts, two things will occur. One, since this is a smooth muscle, it's involuntary. So when your erector pili muscle contracts, two things will occur. One, bunch of goosebumps will occur, or your goose flesh. The process is called as piloerection. When your hair stands up, that's goosebumps or goose flesh. Bunch of goosebumps and a lump. Their lump will show up, and let your stand up. This occur because of the strong emotions or exposure to extreme codes. Exposure to an extreme